What exactly do we mean when we talk about prayer? According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, prayer can be defined as a thought characterized by a directed intention. It's the process of maintaining a particular outcome in our mental space, with the goal of establishing a connection with a higher power to seek its support. Prayer and faith often go hand in hand, but what does faith entail? Faith can be seen as the act of giving more importance to our thoughts than anything else, even more than the present circumstances of our reality or any external difficulties we're facing. If we consider the crossroads of faith and prayer, we see that when these two are brought together with the intention of achieving a specific outcome, a powerful effect can occur. We could say that when we arise from our prayer feeling, as if the desired outcome has already been manifested, we find ourselves in the right mental and physical state, a new state of being. But to comprehend this better, let's delve deeper into the concept of prayer. Imagine there are situations in our lives, or perhaps in others' lives, that are unfavorable. When we foresee a recurring scenario, we can predict a likely outcome, even anticipate a future worst-case scenario in our minds. As we do this, we begin to experience negative emotions associated with stress hormones before the actual event takes place. We start to predict a future outcome based on past experiences. However, it's not the potential outcome that disturbs us. It's the corresponding emotions of fear, anxiety, frustration, anger, suffering, sadness, or pain that make the most significant impact. At such moments, many of us resort to prayer. Prayer typically starts as a thought in our minds. This thought leads to a series of thoughts, and due to the brain's anticipatory nature, we can visualize a likely reality unfolding. We begin to imagine an improved alternative outcome, a better future experience. Our brains are inherently capable of creating such scenarios. That's our intention. When we mentally place ourselves in the scene of our prayer, we start to feel the emotions connected to the manifestation of that prayer. Consequently, our brain and body begin to dwell in that future, yet in the present moment. We're capable of experiencing the emotion of a future reality even before it manifests because we start to visualize what we might encounter when our prayer is answered. However, a problem arises when we open our eyes, and the answer to our prayers isn't immediately apparent. While praying, we may initially dwell in the emotion of our prayer, but when we return to reality and realize that our prayer hasn't yet been answered or appears to be ignored, doubt, lack, and a sense of separation from what we're praying for start to creep in. In response, we pray harder, wish fervently, beg, hope, plead with God, source energy, or any term you prefer to refer to the creative power that pervades the universe. This behavior is a result of perceived separation. Our senses mislead us into feeling that we are separate from our creations, thereby separating us from the very intelligence we aim to connect with. While many have the intent of their prayer, others lose the corresponding emotions that go with it. Once they lose this emotion, they return to a state of lack. Each time they do this, they create from a state of separation, rather than one of connection, completeness, love, and unity. Thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. The way we think and feel forms our state of being. So when the mind holds an intention, but the body says, "It's not happening," there is a clear discord. How can we alter this? We need to genuinely open our hearts and feel gratitude as if our prayer has been answered already. This is because gratitude signifies a state of receptiveness. We express gratitude when we are receiving or have already received something. When we practice this consistently and genuinely, we start to experience the emotion of our future, and the more we experience that emotion, the more our bodies adapt to that feeling. As a result, each time we conclude our prayer feeling as if our prayer has already been answered, in other words, embodying the feeling of our prayer's fruition, we find ourselves trying, forcing, and wanting less, because we have shifted to a new state of being. In a way, we feel as if it has already occurred. What's happening here is that we are moving towards wholeness, away from a sense of lack or separation. We are no longer trying to predict the when, where, or how our prayer will be answered, because we feel like it has already been fulfilled. This opens up space for the unknown, allowing for a new possibility that we hadn't considered to manifest in our reality. This is how we transition from living in a Newtonian world, where events are predictable and known, to a quantum world of unpredictability and unknowns. In Dr. Dispenza's teachings, we are not praying for our prayers to be answered. We rise from our prayers as if they have already been answered. The crux of this method is to maintain that state of being, irrespective of the conditions in our external environment. Staying in this state, unswayed by past habits and emotions lodged in the body, which have been trained to be the mind, and preserving this new state of being regardless of time, is to transcend the illusion of our sensory perception and step into a new reality created in our minds. Ultimately, it's not so much about uttering a prayer as it is about living the prayer. I hope you enjoyed today's message. See you in the next video.